In 2013, the world found out that American hero and cancer survivor Lance Armstrong had used PEDs, or steroids, throughout his whole cycling career, and it caused many people to change the way they look at him. Lance Armstrong was looked at as a hero for many cancer patients by giving them hope that they can make it through anything. When this story came out, it caused many heartbreaks among Americans, and people almost didn't want to believe what they were hearing. The performance enhancers Armstrong used were EPO, which stimulates red blood cell production, and HGH, or human growth hormone, which regulates body composition, body fluids, and muscle and bone growth. Lance Armstrong was stripped of all of his wins on tour, and most notably his 7 Tour de France victories. According to Jack Wilson of CNN.com, between the years 1996 and 2010, 80% of the Tour de France medalists have been tainted by doping. My name is Lucas Copple. I am here to give my persuasive speech on the topic, why PEDs should be banned in sports. The first thing I want to talk about is that, pretty bold, is that PEDs are simply cheating. Athletes who use PEDs or steroids gain an unfair advantage over his or her fellow competitors. Richard Pound, BCL, and former president of the World Anti-Doping Agency, states in a debate series titled Intelligence Squared US, athletes don't use these drugs to level out the playing field, they use them to get an advantage. And the use of drugs is not accidental, and the deliberate use is to get an advantage over his or her competitors. He also stated that if the PEDs were allowed to a certain extent, athletes are still going to continue to use them to get an advantage and make themselves better than their fellow players. David Fairchild, PhD and professor of philosophy at Indiana University and the writer of the article of Cabbages and Kings, Continuing Conversation of Performance Enhancers in Sport, goes into great depth on what cheating actually is and how these athletes are using the drugs to explain his definition of cheating. In his article, he states, cheating is deliberate, knowing, and voluntary violation of certain constitutive rules in order to gain a competitive advantage. Since the violation is knowing, the attempt to gain an advantage is illegitimate and unethical, and the advantage sought is thus unfair. The knowing and voluntary use of prescribed substances in an attempt to gain such an unfair advantage. The second point I would like to bring up about PEDs in sports is that they are unfair to former players in each sport. The records set by these past athletes are in serious jeopardy because of these PEDs. Henry Wasserman, writer for Sports Law Blog, writes, past athletes didn't receive the help or the opportunity to use these performance enhancers, and for their records to be broken by a steroid user would not only be unfair to him or her, but also unfair for the sport itself. The third point I would like to bring up is that PEDs are very unsafe to a person's body. Athletes who use these steroids may see some very serious side effects that could damage their lives and bodies forever. The United States Anti-Doping Agency writes in their website that PEDs have the ability or potential to alter the human body and biological functions drastically and can really improve an athlete's performance. But the athletes who are taking these drugs don't realize what they are doing to their bodies. These drugs can be very dangerous and in some cases deadly. The U.S. Anti-Doping Agency's main mission today is to try to persuade athletes that they don't have to take these performance enhancers to perform at the highest level that they can perform at. The Mayo Clinic staff writes in the magazine The Healthy Lifestyle about the possible risk of taking these steroids and the serious toll they can have on a person's body. Some of the side effects for males may develop prominent breast, baldness, infertility, impotence, and prostate gland enlargement. Some side effects women may endure are a deeper voice, increased body hair, baldness, and absent periods. There are also side effects both men and women can endure, and those are severe acne, increased risk of tendinitis, liver abnormalities, bad cholesterol, high blood pressure, heart problems, aggressive behavior, depression, drug dependence, and infections or diseases such as HIV, and inhibited growth and development. MuscleandGrowth.com writes on their website about the side effects the steroids can have on a person's body. They write that the use of steroids has resulted in violent acts by the user, and high-dose users may be affected with psychotic syndrome and high levels of anxiety. Other effects it may have on the user's brains are sleep disturbance, feelings of euphoria, high levels of paranoia, various styles of depression, and changes in their personality. The use of steroids can also affect other parts of the body, like the face, liver, heart, hair, stomach, and kidneys. I have gone over 3 reasons why PEDs should be illegal in the world of sports. The first one, they are unfair to fellow competitors. Second, they are unfair to past athletes. And third, they are very harmful to athletes' bodies and lifestyles. Like I said before, the act of using these steroids is simply cheating. I really like how the sports world of baseball is punishing these athletes by banning them for a certain amount of games. And in one case this year, a New York Mets pitcher was banned for a lifetime. Another reason is simply the side effects alone should scare a person and tell them not to use those. I hope I was able to persuade you that the use of PEDs is damaging to each sport and also damaging to the athlete himself. Thank you.